I wasn't a spiritual kid growing up. I wasn't a religious kid growing up. I wasn't even a good kid growing up. From 14 to 18, I was like this kid who just wanted to try new things out. Sometimes that got me in a lot of trouble, trying out all sorts of things, really trying to search for some sort of meaning, fulfillment, and for as long as I've known, I've been chasing thrill. I really value thrill. You can't be what you can't see. So I didn't grow up wanting to be a monk. At 18, I was really fortunate when I met a monk. And he captivated me like no one had ever captivated me before. And then I found out that he'd given up jobs in Google and Microsoft to be a monk. And I thought to myself, who does that? You know, he's given up everything that I'm chasing, but he seems happier than anyone I've ever met before. That was the beginning of what changed me. I started hearing my own inner voice. And there's one thing that he said that stood above everything, and he spoke about this principle about plant trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit. And he was speaking about this principle of selfless sacrifice. I fell in love with it because I got so fixated on the fact that what if you could spend your whole life just helping people? Like, what if that's all you did? What if you had to learn, grow, create just to make a difference in people's lives? Yeah. And you didn't need anything back, and you didn't want anything back. I'd have this tutor, and he'd tell me that the reason that you're struggling with the next question is because you're always worried about what your parents think. And that really stayed in my head. I was just like, wow, so as long as I'm trapped by what my parents think, I can actually never find the answers to the real questions of life. People had a big lack of self-actualization. They were very disconnected from what they wanted, needed, and understood about themselves. And most people's identities were crafted by the reflection in this mirror of their mom, dad, friends, boss, partner, whatever it may be.
Right. How do we start to tap into self-realization?
So I think it starts even at a physical level. Anyone who's a physical fitness or a health coach will know that different bodies need different food, different sleep, different fluids. We don't all need the same thing. Our bodies have different tolerances in different things. That's self-awareness at the physical level already. On a mental level, what's self-awareness? Knowing what type of people I like to be with. Knowing who helps me grow and who drains me. That's mental self-awareness. And then we go into the spiritual consciousness level. That's disconnecting from all these identities and understanding the identity that we are wired for generosity. And we're wired to serve. I would see these people who are like 5 years older than me, 7 years older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. And I'd be watching them and go, is that the life I want? And often the advice I give to people today is fast forward where you are, look at yourself in 10, 15, 20 years time and ask yourself the question, is that where I want to be? And for me, the answer at that time was no. The path that my parents or society or the university I went to or the community I had that was carving out for me, it didn't feel like the path for me. So I was almost seeking an alternative or a new path. And I mean, there's this beautiful quote. It's by a philosopher and writer named Cooley. He said, today I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. People were so far removed from their own understanding of themselves that they were either lost living a life they didn't want to, lost living up to someone else's expectations, or lost becoming someone to impress someone else. Their real identity is almost buried under 6 feet of multiple identities they've created. The problem is we all went to normal schools that try to put stuff in us rather than take stuff out of us. And it's like, but no one noticed that potential inside you. No one noticed that, oh, Lewis was really creative. Right. And you're not the only person. There's so many people who feel like that. Because maybe that just doesn't fit. And I think so many people feel that way today, that they don't fit into the current education system. They don't fit with the 3 or 4 or 5 careers that you're taught exist. Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it's stupid. And too many of us are fish trying to climb a tree. Too many of us are monkeys being taught how to swim. Too many of us are lions being taught to live like cats. We're not getting to live in our element. You know, we've all got a special genius inside of us. So I spoke to people who lie on their resumes, and you know, the thing is, no one was proud of that. Really what it came down to is we're really insecure about our own abilities. Really what it came down to is we're not confident about what we have to offer. What it came down to is a lack of self-awareness. What it came down to is a lack of understanding. What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What am I bringing to the table? That's what people are really worried about. That the noise from outside makes us want to fit into a container. And what happens is that noise becomes your voice. So that noise becomes what you think is what you're saying. One of my big questions is, what advice would I give to my younger self? It's huge, because I think that's the stuff that we regret. That's the stuff that we wish we were doing. That's the stuff that has been lost in the noise. When you ask someone, what advice would you give to your younger self? The number one answer is, I wish I studied this. I wish I tried this out. It's all things people didn't do. It's always like something that either should have started or didn't continue. And that's really tapping into someone's voice. So how do I find my passion? My simple model, which talks about an intersect of 4 areas. What am I good at? What do I love? What does the world need? And how do I get paid for it? To me, those 4 help you unlock your passion. When you find the intersect across all of those 4, you're making your passion your purpose. You'll unlock your passion, you'll find your purpose. There's 2 paths. Path 1, I find my skill set and I engage it to help other people and become better at it. So I'm becoming better at what I'm good at and I'm using it to help other people. The other path that people often miss is actually I just start serving people. I just start helping people and I start to notice what I enjoy about that and what I'm good at helping people with. The first thing you learn at monk school is learning how to breathe. We're taught that the only thing that stays with you from the moment you're born to the moment you die is your breath. Notice when you get stressed, what changes? Your breath. When you get angry, what changes? Your breath. When you're sad, what changes? Your breath. When you're happy, what changes? Your breath. Every emotion is experienced with the change of the breath. So he said, when you learn how to navigate and manage your breath, you can actually navigate any situation in life. The priority is on the root of things, not the leaf or the symptoms. Right. And that's the biggest thing about living as a monk. You're not dealing with your challenges at symptomatic level. You're dealing with it at root level, right? People say, oh, if you're stressed out, just take a stress pill. If you're stressed out, just go to get a massage. But all that's doing is pacifying you, escape for that hour, 2 hours, maybe a week. But going to the root of it and learning how to change your breath means you can manage any situation in life. Always go to the root. It will take longer, but it will last longer. My daily practice is to refine my intention. My current intention is to use everything I've been given, everything that I have, in the service of others. So I want to use the following that I have to help people. I want to use the money that I have to help people. I want to use the network that I have to help people. But every day that intention, which is a beautiful little plant that's growing, gets weeds around it. A weed is the intention that you don't want. And the problem is, sometimes you've let it grow so much, the weed looks like the plant. And you start believing it's the same thing. I'm cutting it down. I'm cutting that weed every day. And you've got to do it every day, because the more you're surrounded by that energy, right, the more it's going to keep creeping in like a creeper weed, right? So I start reapplying to loads of companies to get my job back, to see if I can learn about technology, because I'm like, I need to get technology. I don't get it enough. So I'm applying to all these companies. I get rejected by the same 30, 40 companies that would have let me walk in 3 years ago. And finally, one company gives me a job. And I'm joining and I'm like, I'm just here to learn. Like, I keep reminding myself, the intention here is just learn, consume, and you're not going to be here for a long time. I think it's Thomas Edison who says, when you feel you've exhausted every option, remember you haven't. An ideal life is when we all have a head, a heart, and a hand, all 3 elements together, working in alignment. So a head is the clarity of vision, what you want, knowing what you want, the way you picture life. A good heart is being able to understand what your intuition and heart wants, being able to connect and tap into that understanding deeper and beyond the vision you may have painted for yourself. So I often say to people that you'll get to where you want in life, just not in the way you imagined. And that's because the path that's paved up and down is far different to the path we pave. A hand is that service, wanting to pass that on, that which you have, wanting to give it forward, pay it forward. The idea of serving with what you have. I often say to people, your passion is for you, your purpose is for others. Your passion makes you happy, but when you use your passion to make a difference in someone else's life, That's a service, that's a purpose, and that's the hand.